All right, guys, what is going on? We are live on my channel, at least. I don't know if these other guys are live or not. Um,
We are dead.
you
We're coming to you from another dimension.
know what? Let me go change my hat real quick. The gray one's blending with my green screen.
Oh, changing
Give
your
me
Uh-oh.
one
hat
second.
last minute
Uh-oh.
call.
I know.
Going on.
I didn't do it until I looked at the screen.
So, how you guys doing? Everyone there, all the crypto friends out there, thanks for joining us. We're doing this kind of like crazy multi-YouTuber live stream today. We're going to be talking about the crypto markets and a bunch of other stuff. We're just going to ramble on here and have a lot of fun. So, stick around while BitBoy obviously goes and gets himself a new hat.
Where's your hat? See, I got a hat. He's getting a hat. But where's yours?
I'm too good looking right now for the hat, man. So I got on my right now.
That is one sexy stash, my friend. Yeah.
Well, thank you.
Oh,
We got
listen.
mean facial hair going on here. I think as soon as hopefully Crypto Love joins us, our brother in arms here is supposed to be on the stream with us. So hopefully,
Yeah, we were talking about it a second ago. It's really early for him over there in Thailand, but I prefer my countries and my residences to win or lose, so I would never move to Thailand. But the point is that hopefully he will be on here soon. I couldn't get up at 8 a.m. to do a live stream to save my life. So if he shows up, good on him.
Yeah, if we know Randall, he's under a mountain of women over there in Thailand right now. So, yep. So how you guys all been, man? What y'all been doing?
Crypto, we all do making videos, trying to make things interesting. We had a good day yesterday, and then of course today I think we had a little coming back to Earth party. But I think things are good in this space. I think the fact that we're doing stuff like this again, that we're all hanging out and talking crypto, I think that's good. I had several people today in my Telegram chat and through other avenues told me, they're glad we were doing this. They want to see more of these. So
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. I miss hanging out with everybody. So it's glad y'all put this together. So hopefully some other people jump on too, and we'll just have a bunch of different opinions and crazy rants, and be a good time for everybody.
yeah, the more the merrier.
Sure.
So how do you guys feel about where we're kind of situated right now with Bitcoin? Making a pretty steady rise here. I mean, we've seen some pretty big movements here across just the last couple of weeks. I call it the crypto bit bus pump, but in general, I think it was really cool to see that during Bitcoin 2019 actually. But what do you guys think about that? Do you think we're going to see this continually go up, or do you think we're going to see like a major correction here, or what's your kind of like short, long term, medium term plan?
I was telling Christian, man, we need to have that Bitcoin 2019 conference every single week, man, because it was doing great for the market. So,
well, I mean, the name fits, right? Bitcoin 2019 is like the whole
exactly.
year, But I think that, we're bound to get some corrections here or there. I mean, the volatility of it right now, I think is pretty encouraging because we go back to, the run in 2017 and then, the subsequent, bear market. There was a lot of volatility there,
Yeah.
I remember there were days even in early December where I woke up and I was like, man, the price dropped $1,000, or, whatever it would have been. And just like, man, I hope it's going to go back up. And then, of course, like the next day, it will go back up, right? It will continue on the run. So even when we were on a huge bull run, we still saw corrections. That's part of it. You always have people, taking profits and things like that. So, overall, I think we're definitely on the right track. I think this bull market is going to be a little longer than the last one. So I don't think we're going to get super parabolic, action anytime soon or anything like that. But, I think things are good right now for where we're headed.
Yeah, I think, long term, there's not really any place for Bitcoin to go other than up, right? So you get never financial advice at all. But I mean, if you look how many there are, if you look at the excitement that's coming back in the space, you start looking at Libra, basically saying that they're going to become, the new global coin, and they've got everybody, basically all the big players coming in behind them to run nodes for them. And every time the news starts talking about Libra, they start talking about Bitcoin. So as long as the core developers don't screw up Bitcoin and it stays, safe, reliable, and dependable, then I think we're going to see Bitcoin, just keep going up and up and up. And there's so many crazy predictions out there, millions of dollars and things like that. But just like I think it was, who was it, the Winklevoss, twins that said something today about they think that it's basically gold 2.0, and there's a $7 trillion market for physical gold, so they don't see any reason why it wouldn't be the same in Bitcoin. And
what's the number? What's the number?
They said 7 trillion in gold, physical gold. So they see no reason why it wouldn't be the same in digital. Of course, I try not to make any kind of predictions and things like that. I just think that it's going to go up, and I have said that I think it'll probably be around 40,000 by the end of the year, at least twice the all-time high. I think personally, just because of all the excitement of Libra coin. I mean, you got who is it? It was what's his name? Jerome Powell. He's like the head of the Fed, right? Yep. So these guys are all about having a rival currency, right? Because the Federal Reserve is basically the people that print all of our money, and basically the government borrows it from them, and then us, the taxpayers, basically pay the interest on it. It's this vicious cycle that's been going on since 1913. But I digress. Anyways, it's crazy.
It's the tether of the non-crypto world.
Yeah, there you go. Raise the ceiling, print some more, all that kind of stuff. But it's crazy, man, when you get Jerome Powell out there saying, hey, we're not going to let this happen. I don't think this can happen. I don't think we can allow this to happen. It's like, wait a minute, they've got like the biggest monopoly of running fake money ever, and this rivals it. So they're trying to say that, oh, we don't know that we can trust Facebook. It's like, well, who says we can trust the Federal Reserve? I mean, every time we turn around, I mean, they never do anything for us, right? Other than expect us to pay for all the money that they keep printing and just keep us enslaved of sorts. So I don't know. It's interesting when you see that, but then you see all these big businesses, like I thought it was really interesting that even the Winklevoss twins today basically said, hey, we'll get back in bed with Zuckerberg. We'll run a node. We want to be part of the Libra alliance. It's like,
well, what do you guys think about this? What do you guys think about the fact that, it isn't Libra sign of the Zodiac, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Libra, Gemini, it's what the Winklevoss twins. That can't be an accident, right?
I don't know, man. Yeah, that's a good point. Maybe they're trying to make a statement there.
Yeah.
Actually, Libra is a unit of measure, one of the first units of measure of currencies and things like that. So I'm responding to Mr. Mosty. He says that I've been eating too much.
I saw that. I saw that.
Hey man, I tell you what, Mr. Mosty, why don't you go spend $1 of Bitcoin? Tell me how much it costs you to send it. And go spend $1 of Bitcoin cash.
Dude, Mr. Mosty's my boy, man. Leave old Mosty alone, man. He's got a BitBoy hat, which if you guys don't know, I have a merch store. I'm in the process of revamping, and you can get one of these sweet hats. Nobody's bought a hat for me in like 2 months. I was selling a bunch of them. Somebody go test it. Yeah, you got one. Somebody go test it and buy something, and let me make sure it's working.
Bottomed out now, buddy. So
hey, why don't you go use Bitcoin to buy it? So that way it costs you like 5 times more.
I'm doing a kids store too. Is one thing I'm doing in there. I have a little Stache is my homie. That's one. Littlest Bit Squad member. Eat veggies. Something. Trade crypto. My wife came up with all these slogans. She's really great.
That's awesome. Man.
Yeah. So. But the Libra stuff is very interesting, and we talked about this a lot last time we did a live stream with Crow, and which I texted Crypto Love, by the way, told him we got a new link, but hopefully it'll show up. We talked about this last time with our live stream with me, Stache, Crow, and Wendy. The news had just dropped, and I said back then, same thing I'll say now. If you read the white paper and you take the name of the company away, it seems like it's a good thing. The goal of it is to, bank the unbanked. It lines up with crypto. Obviously it's hard to take Facebook away because we all know what it represents. But today, David Marcus, who is the head of the blockchain department of Facebook, formerly of Coinbase, I believe, came out today and said, guys, this is going to be private. It's going to be private. We're going to have no access to your personal financial information. So they come out and kind of reiterating that. I think we all are kind of holding our breath to see, but Libra Coin's kind of the answer to everything right now. Like, it's hard for me to do news videos without, doing multiple stories on Libra right now because it's everywhere. It could be driving this pump even.
It's one of the things I've said for years, man, is when somebody like Facebook, or when Facebook actually comes in with their 2.7 or 3 billion users, it's going to do wonderful things for the crypto space. But another thing I've always said too is, crypto is the greatest empowerment of the people or the biggest enslavement of the people. Yeah. So if people like Facebook have the ability to stop, basically know all of our personal information, know all our financial information, have the ability to turn off our funds, redact our funds, or basically all the kind of stuff that, they could possibly do. It's pretty terrifying if people are using that as their sole means of currency across the globe. Do we really want that kind of, evil empire, so to speak, in charge of our finances? Or is it better than what the evil empire we have now? I don't know. It's one of those things that are debatable.
No way, because, when you look at it, it's the same kind of beast, because they're still going to make you do KYC. So if it comes down to it, and like if you want to use this coin or be able to transact in it or be able to use that network, you're going to have to KYC. And then what does that mean for people who don't have an ID or can't KYC necessarily? I mean, you're not really giving as much access as I think you think they're supposed to may think when it comes down to that.
What about their 100 partners or their 100 nodes that would all have access to our data too? I mean, if
they actually have the access and it's not firewalled off somehow, I'm just giving them the benefit of the doubt, guys. That's all I'm doing. I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt.
That's what they're saying now. I mean, they may say that now, and then it just doesn't turn out that way. Writing a white paper is a pretty big difference between having a finished product. You can say, here's how it works.
Yeah. Well, interesting. They got the programming languages out. We're already starting to see, some things built to integrate with it. Move I thought it was kind of funny. Like, Ethereum is Solidity. It's like solid. And then they're like, move. It's like, I don't know, kind of total opposite, I feel like. It's just something funny I thought of it with the programming language. But they are going to have their own, language. IOST actually has a DApp that is working on, I think, some kind of development kit for the new language. I don't know. Sometimes I think it's like not good to reinvent the wheel with new languages, but, there you go. More college courses.
Speaking of dApps, Samsung today, I think it was recent, just released a very quiet SDK called dApp. And I think it's, for crypto, and it's powered by, I think it's Knox, which is their internal security protocol that they have. I think if you go to your Samsung and let me see, take a look. I think that's what they already have. So if you fire up a Samsung, which I happen to have one here, let's see here, close all, let's do this. Now, for some, I disabled it, but I want to say Knox is what I saw on my Samsung before. So, anyways, they just released a blockchain like SDK for dApp creation, as well as I want to say for like entry to crypto, to where I think they even allow like plugging in of like hardware wallets and other wallets to where the users would keep their keys. And they wouldn't be putting the keys, I think, on the Samsung cloud or something like that, if I can remember everything that I read. So I thought that was kind of interesting. That's that you're starting to have like HTC, Samsung, and all these big guys come in, and they're all starting to embrace blockchain. You got Facebook embracing blockchain. You've got like the Winklevoss twins coming out and saying that pretty much everybody in FANG is going to have their own cryptocurrency projects. So all that stuff, always brings up Bitcoin in the same conversation. And so, kind of circling back to that, I think that I think we have some really good times ahead of us in Bitcoin, so long that it stays reliable.
Don't you bring up Bitcoin Cash every time we bring up Bitcoin, though?
We can. As a means of cash. Dude, I'm telling you right now. Look, I mean, as a means of cash, Satoshi in his white paper, there's 9 pages, man, of gospel. It's a peer-to-peer electronic cash system, man. Try to use Bitcoin right now. Send me $1. Send me $1. I've done this, I don't know how many times with people, like, send me $1 and it's going to cost you $4. It's going to cost you $5. Now, how are you going to use that in commerce? I understand you have Lightning Network, you have all these other second layer solutions, which is fine, but it's not there yet. Right now, send me $1 Bitcoin Cash. It's going to cost you maybe a penny, maybe less than a penny. That's all I'm saying, man, for a means of cash, not as a store of value. I think we all can agree. We hope that Bitcoin, goes to the moon, right? But we're all hoping.
But what happens when the same thing happens to Bitcoin Cash that's happening to Bitcoin right now? So if you have a Bitcoin, I'm going to tell you what I mean. So if you have a Bitcoin right now that's at 12,000, right?
Sure.
And you have a Bitcoin Cash, which is at what? It's like 100 something. Let me see. It's at the
400. I thought it was 400.
383 is what it's at right now. So what happens when Bitcoin Cash is at 11,000 and Bitcoin is like 40,000 or something, right?
Sure.
So then what,
It's a very simple answer. Yeah, it's a very simple answer.
it's
So
the same problem you're trying to say with
no,
Bitcoin.
it's not though. It's not though. It's not.
And the price of it, the value of it is so much that it becomes more of a store of value versus something you just spend on the daily.
Oh, that's
Okay.
that last point is an interesting point.
So,
Yeah.
sure. So when you're talking about something that you're holding, hoping it goes up, and if Bitcoin Cash ever reaches, as far as like Bitcoin's prices, or people are speculating on it like they are right now, for a means of cash, it won't be, again, it's going to end up being something that people are, again, hodling onto, hoping that it moons. And so one of the things that I've always said is use like a stable coin, use like, something like a TUSD, use something like Honest Coin, something like that for cash. What I'm saying is right now, this very, very second, if you don't want to use stables, you can use Bitcoin Cash. I've always said you can use like Stellar, you can use Ripple, you can use stable coins. But when you go head to head and you're trying to compare the two, that's where I say, well, what works better is cash. And when you say, well, when the value goes up, it's going to cost a lot more to send it. Well, you may end up losing money because of, speculation. It may be worth more in the future. So that's why people won't want to spend it. But as far as the transaction fees, they'll always be cheaper because they have bigger blocks and the blocks don't fill up. And so there's not this competitiveness in the miners to where you have to keep, bidding higher and higher and higher and higher to get your transactions to go through. With the bigger blocks, they're not full. You don't fill them up. There's not that same kind of bidding mentality that there is with Bitcoin, to where those transaction fees are through the roof. As far as when it becomes something that you're hoping that moons, then again, it's no longer, it's really not peer-to-peer cash anymore. And I understand even Roger would disagree with me there, but I think that people are holding onto their crypto, hoping that it moons, not using it for daily commerce, not using it for toothpaste and haircuts and hamburgers and all that kind of stuff. They would just want to be paid in crypto, get paid in Honest Coin, get paid in TUSD, get paid in a stable coin, and use crypto that way. Obviously, Libra fills that void. So, we all have to decide whether or not that's the stable that we want. But anytime you enter speculation into it, nobody wants to spend it anyways. As soon as speculation comes into it, and that's what mostly crypto is right now anyways, is speculation. Everybody's holding on to it.
For all assets, you have that for all assets, this idea of speculation versus actual usage and use case. So, I don't think that's like necessarily a new thing that cryptocurrencies have brought about here.
But who's spending gold? Who uses gold to go pay for a hamburger?
People were a long time ago, but we just become we have more and more convenient ways to transact value. And so, first we moved to kind of like paper and the coin system, and now I think we've moved to mostly digital anyways. Even if you remove cryptocurrency from the picture at all, and you just look at like, well, where is most of our money? It's all digital. It's all just ones and zeros. It's all, in bank accounts and across, non-decentralized ledgers. And so I think that's, when you look at something like this, the potential for people to really get on board is pretty great. But we have this with Libra. I think we have this kind of mainstream onboarding that maybe they get exposure there, and then that allows them to be opened up to the entire kind of ecosystem of what's going on in cryptocurrency. Because it may fill that void, but then again, like I said, there are some stumbling blocks I think that will impede it being such a huge thing, and particularly the privacy is always the concern and stuff for a lot of people.
Yeah. I just love Jaloon Pond's comment. John Wick pays with gold coins, but he's a bad arse though. Yeah, people used to gold back in the day. They would definitely use gold, but then people get paid in fiat. They expect their dollar to be worth kind of $1, and that's what they would use. And so that's why I think stable coins and stable tokens are what people will use, like a Libra, for peer-to-peer cash. Anytime you have speculation, I just don't think people are really going to spend it unless they have to. Everybody's sad. They're sad when they use when you look at the most diehard like Bitcoin person, and you ask them, well, how often did you use it? Do you use it all the time? Do you use it for everything? And they're holding on to it, man. They don't want people to know that they have it.
Often, actually, man. I just used Bitcoin at the Bitcoin conference. Like I used it to play some Lightning games, which was really cool. And I paid no fees for transactions or like something ridiculously small, but. We're the
1 or 2%, man, that are trying to promote adoption. So in your heart, when you spend that money and then you see Bitcoin go up $1,000, you're a little sad. You're a little sad.
You end up with a 400.
But you're trying to push adoption, baby. You're trying to push adoption, so you're walking the talk. I do it every day. I give away $100 in every single one of my videos. I know all about it. but we're one of the 1 or 2%. You think the rest of the world really freaking cares if they're using, if they're doing it for the betterment of decentralization? Do you really think that they care?
And that's what I'm saying. And that's what I was kind of saying about all these, currency style coins out there, is that that's kind of the issue with all of them. It's not just Bitcoin. It's not just or exclusive to Bitcoin. It's it's Bitcoin Cash. It's Dash. It's all these other ones that are trying to do the exact same thing, to be a digital currency, and to be like a daily spending, transacting of value. If you're not already a stable coin, because that's kind of the main issue, is that people don't want to have to lose value or have to speculate. I mean, if you hold a bunch of stable coins, for sure that they're staying at that spot. They're not going to be fluctuating. You can use them fluidly with other cryptocurrencies, so it makes sense to be able to do it in stable coins. But you don't have that same kind of volatility, which you have with every one of the cryptocurrencies that are meant to be a peer-to-peer cash system. So I mean, when do we get to a point where that's not the case, unless it's going to be a stable coin? So I mean, as much as what all these other projects are doing, I think that's the inherent problem with all cryptocurrencies that are trying to be like a cash system.
Exactly, because the only people spending crypto right now, I mean, for the most part, are people that have absolutely no other way to pay for goods and services, or people like ourselves that are trying to promote adoption. But for the masses are going to be really pissed off if they're paying $5 for a hamburger today and that crypto is $50 next week. They're not going to do it again. They're not going to do it again. But if they're getting their wages in a stable coin and they're paying for their goods and services in a stable coin, that's when you'll see adoption. But what we have to make sure is a stable coin that we're using is something that's truly stable, that's truly decentralized, that's truly in the hands and control of the right people, so we don't end up right back where we're at with a Federal Reserve note with the same people that put us right where we're at, but now we're just using digital currency. So it's like,
well, I think that it's that, like, and this is something I've said to people that argue. Like, we just had somebody in my chat, Kelly Clark, she's a Bit Squad member, comments on a lot of stuff. She says, if you don't use Bitcoin as currency, what's the point of Bitcoin? And I think that, the thing is I believe in a fully tokenized economy. I believe that one day we are going to have every store, if we still have brick and mortar stores, but online stores at least, they'll all have their own cryptocurrency, and they'll all incentivize you to use that currency in their store the same way that like Binance incentivizes you to use, to use BNB and things like that. That's what I believe in. Now the question is, will we get there? Will we see a ton of coins die first, and we kind of have a resurrection like we saw with the internet bubble, or will we just see a slow progression and things change? And I think that the point here is that Bitcoin, it can be used as a currency one day, even if it is gold 2.0. People will still be able to send it to people for transactions. But I believe 100% that the way that we're going to get to that tokenized economy is through a stable coin, because we were talking about, like, you don't want to end up like Jacob Canfield from I think his channel's just Jacob Canfield now, but he bought a mattress from Overstock.com in 2014, 2017. It was worth $400,000. Like, you don't really want that to happen. But the other side of it is the retailers also don't want to take something that's volatile, because, a cup of coffee that's $5 today, they might be worth $3 tomorrow, from what you paid. So I don't think stable coins are the end. They're not the end. The end is a tokenized economy. However, the means to get there is probably going to be through a stable coin. So, and eventually, like right now, we're looking at Libra coin is going to be, pegged to like I call it a box of assets. We don't exactly know 100%. Basket of assets. Yeah. Sorry, I took underwater.
Basket, or a basket of securities and fiat, counterparts. Yeah.
Right. So we have stable coins pegged to the US dollar. It's kind of like this. It's this constant tension of how are we ever going to get crypto to where it's going to be a currency. When it's so volatile, we want to use stable coins, but if we're using stable coins that are pegged to the US dollar, then that's defeating the purpose of the entire thing. So it's going to have to be an evolution. It's going to have to take, I think sometimes we forget. I don't think we forget. I think people that are watching forget, especially if they got in 2017, like most people that are in crypto did, but we're still at the very, very, very beginning of this. And if you know people who tell you that they know how all this is going to play out, then you're listening to the wrong people, because none of us really know. We just try to make best guesses on our experience and what we see happening.
Yeah, there is an alternative to a stable coin. It's called a peg. And so like my boy David Zimbeck, the creator of the smart contract, the creator of the peg, creator of, or I guess the first real estate transaction on the blockchain, he actually created, it's kind of like it's a
Property
token.
Sorry.
No, actually what it is, it's more like an algorithm when you look at it. So it's a coin, but built within it allows for basically an algorithm that keeps it locked at, a stable amount, like $1, something like that. It turns off supply, it'll increase supply. It does everything automatically with no backing, but people have to believe that it's worth $1. So he actually invented something. No, because DAI is crypto backed crypto. This is backed by nothing. This is actually just an instrument. It's more like an algorithm,
Oh,
but
kind
it
of
is
like, kind of like the U.S. dollar.
yeah, backed by nothing other than the faith in the government.
We just, hey, it's worth $1. Just it is.
Yeah, I mean, you could say that's the same thing for like a store credit, right? But he actually created something that is really pretty freaking awesome. It's called a peg. You guys can look it up on his site, but I thought it was something really interesting, and you don't need kind of like this the central power behind it that people would basically control it. Decentralized of sorts. They would all vote on whether they raise it or lower it, the value, the supply, all that kind of stuff. And I thought it was really interesting. And so I think LaToken actually is going to be the first exchange to implement it. So I thought that was kind of cool. So we'll see how it works.
You
but
said
it's
LA
just
token?
LaToken.
Oh, is it La Token? I always thought it was LA token. Ah.
No, it's LaToken. Yeah, LaToken. Yeah.
That's not how I'm gonna say it. I say words wrong. I'm gonna keep saying LA.
That's it, man. Just say it however you want to say it, man. Just like.
But you guys work with them, right, Monarch?
Monarch.
Monarch, you guys have something with STOs with them, right?
So what we got is, we acquired a broker dealer license. We're still waiting FINRA and SEC approval, like freaking everybody, because they're basically just got like a moratorium on broker dealer licenses right now. However, like I said, we acquired one, waiting approval. We've built out an entire STO platform with our partner Ambisafe, so we're actually able, or will be able to, sell securities, to accredited investors through a digital platform. It's pretty awesome, and it works today. But LaToken doesn't have that ability, so they partnered with us to basically sell to accredited investors here in the United States. And so we did that for them. Basically, we're kind of like their broker dealer here in the United States. So they actually wanted to throw an IEO for us, so we let them do that. And I don't know how it's going. I just got Snay and I just let them do their thing, and so we haven't really talked about it much. But yeah, anyways, they're just one of many partners that we have.
Yeah, that's good. You always have new news coming out from Monarch. So
got a lot more coming. We have the world's first. Yeah, we have the world's first reoccurring. What's that?
I was gonna say, talking about too, bringing Libra back into the conversation. I think that's one of the things for sure that's going to spur is a lot more development. Not only are current companies going to start rapidly developing more because they feel like the heat is on a little bit, it's going to inspire a lot of other companies, kind of domino effect, to be able to want to get into this. And I think we were talking about.
I agree 100%.
About how you guys, major companies are now coming out like, hey, we got to get on this. The rest of the fangs are coming.
But they're kind of letting them be the shield in the front.
That's a good thing about it,
Yeah, they're letting them be the shield. They're going to take all the arrows.
Yeah.
So, because I mean, we just had the, like you said, Jerome Powell came out today saying that this is so funny. I cracked up at this. He said, "Well, this Libra coin, we don't know because it could be used for money laundering." And I thought, first of all, like, do you guys know what V-Bucks are for Fortnite?
Yeah.
Fortnite's currency has been used for money laundering. But, guess what the number one way to launder money is?
Freaking dollars.
Exactly.
If I bring you a briefcase or a bag full of cash, good luck tracing. If I give you Bitcoin or something like that, everybody in the world can see that I gave it to you. An immutable ledger. So, yeah. Anyways, they're just grasping at straws. They don't want to lose control. They don't want to lose power. But who knows, man? Maybe they'll actually end up taking it over.
Did you guys see what Brad Sherman said today?
No.
Good old Brad Sherman.
I think he said something today. Let me see what he said today. He calls for, that was from May 10th. I thought there was some news on him today. Somebody said Sherman had said something. Let me see. I can't find it now. Maybe a week ago he said something about it. But, if somebody could, who's watching, if you could go find that article, I think people were talking about it on Twitter or something. If you could find that one about Sherman and drop it in my chat so I can pull it up, that'd be great. But, we already had, Sherrod Brown. Is he a congressman or a senator? I think he's a congressman. from California coming out and saying Facebook's too powerful. This was also interesting. We had, I mean, crypto and social media, like there's definitely a crossover there. So this isn't necessarily a crypto story, but this week in Washington D.C. there was a huge social media summit where President Trump called all of the big heads from all the social media companies to come have a summit, and guess who was not invited? The number one social media company. I mean, unless you consider, YouTube. Man, they're part of Google. I don't know if Google was there, but Facebook was not invited, and a lot of people were saying it was probably just, basically a Facebook bash session. And I don't think it's a coincidence. We got, the specific members of our government saying, Facebook is getting too big. It's a monopoly. It needs to slow down. Then we have to talk about the crypto, about Libra coin, and they're saying that they're scared that this is going to become a reserve currency. Like they're scared this could be the currency of the world instead of the dollar. I don't think it's a coincidence that all of this happened in the last couple of weeks, and now there's this summit and Facebook doesn't get invited. So I don't know. Like, is this going to be a kind of thing where the government's trying to get other social media companies to kind of turn on what Facebook is doing, try to prep them like Facebook's going down this route. You don't want to be like these people. I mean, I think that's got to be something that's playing in, to those kind of conversations right now.
Yeah, I mean, I think that it really comes down to, you look at this kind of what they call like a currency cold war, right? And I think we're going to start to see that here amongst competing countries with, entities, corporations, right? And that's what we're kind of seeing is that, all these other countries who have their own fiat currencies are starting to understand like, oh man, cryptocurrencies are starting to come up, and then they see something like Facebook jump in, and then like, this is a company with like unlimited resources, billion-dollar company, and they can take this, and put a really big blow in our kind of financial foothold and control we have right now. This is something we need to address seriously right now.
France already came out and said that.
People who are shills, essentially, they're jumping out of the woodworks to be able to say the same thing and do it on the public platforms.
Yeah. I mean, there are definitely alternative sources of social media out there, but none of them make it easy and cool. And, nobody's all connected like Facebook. Facebook kind of hijacked it in the beginning and just kind of, from what I've been told and from what I've seen, it sounds like, they basically just had a bunch of access to a bunch of their users, friends and family and all their different connections, and kind of made accounts with or without approval and things like that. And they've basically brought on a 3 billion person army on their social media platform. And that is huge. That is incredible. I mean, that is like, what is that, 10 times, the size of the United States? I mean, that's pretty freaking big. So they are definitely somebody to watch. And obviously the White House and whatnot does not want them in that meeting. So I know that I got approached by like 3 different social media companies saying that they've been, invited to the White House for this, whatever it is.
Somebody invite me to the White House. I'd love to go. Come on, guys.
Yeah, well, they didn't invite me personally. Then they said they were invited. Their social media company was invited to go.
Well, that's a call to anyone that works at the White House to call me there. I would
gotcha. Yeah,
I've been there. Won't go. I'll go. Dang it.
Yeah, I've been there. I took the family there. We got the got the little tour and stuff. Got our our little picture, little selfies and stuff out front. All that kind
Beadles, so cute.
Yeah.
So I found what I was looking for. So Brad Sherman, it was in the story today about Jerome Powell. He mentioned that the article mentioned that Brad Sherman over the last couple of days has been very adamant to call Mark Zuckerberg for a Senate hearing to talk about Libra coin. So he's kind of like, he's fighting it on all fronts. And I don't know, guys, like one of the most interesting things to me regarding the way that like the political landscape is going right now in regards to, crypto and things, it just seems like we're starting to see this line. Like we know everything is a party line. Everything is a party line in the world. Like, like climate change. How did climate change become something that's like a Republican versus Democrat issue? Like, at least in the United States, that's how it goes. And I don't know, like the people that really are leading these charges, against Facebook and cryptocurrency and Bitcoin. I mean, they seem to be Democrats right now. I mean, there's, a couple, I think one from Ohio who helped write the Token Taxonomy Act, or maybe it was from Florida, that was a Democrat. But if this becomes a party issue, it's going to be very interesting because you got Andrew Yang, who is, a Democrat who is adamantly for crypto, but, a lot of his, colleagues are challenging him on that. I don't know. It's going to be really interesting to see that way that if crypto factors at all into the next election in the United States.
Yeah, it reminds me a lot of like the old WWF or the WWE, right? So I have a tiny, tiny little bit of experience in the political realm, and so
I was hoping you're going to say wrestling.
I have a ton of experience.
A little bit there too. A little bit there too. I put the Nacho Libre mask on, and go ahead. Not really,
but you doing that, man. I could see your luchador, personality that you go on the weekends. Like, where's Beadles? I don't know, man.
Yep. You guys see me all the time and have no idea that it's me. Yep. But no, what I'm getting at is basically in the public view, they're adversaries. They're both saying kind of the opposite. One wants beer, one wants wine, whatever. But behind closed doors, they're all just like, "Hey, what's up, brother? What's up, buddy? How you doing, man?" And then they go back out in front of the public, and then they're right back.
Such a good comparison. I love that.
I mean, and that's it. That's the basic thing that I think a lot of people just don't get.
And they don't get it, man. They don't get that they're given a script, dude. There are people that pull the strings. They are given scripts. They are told their party lines are very very clear. It's like, here's the stuff you're supposed to speak about if you want our support, if you want our control. This is the stuff you're going to speak about. They give that to the Republicans, and then the Democrats, they get the same thing. So they go out there in front of the people, and they basically just recite the stuff that they were told to say. Kind of like
I've
little
never
puppets.
thought about that before.
Just like little wrestlers, they go out there with a script. They go out there and they hate on each other.
Well, now it's the UFC. I mean, now the UFC is the new WWE, so they do the same thing.
Maybe. Maybe I don't know, man. That's pretty hard to think.
Very few that really hate each other. Like after the fight, where they're still like, screw you, I beat you.
For sure.
Khabib and Conor obviously really do not like each other, I believe. But outside of that, that's always disappointing to me. Like how I went several years ago when it was in Atlanta. It was John Jones.
It's not WWE fake though. Ask Ben Askren. I mean,
no,
that knee that he took.
No, I know the fighting, but the promotion, just the promotion.
Yeah.
Stuff. Yeah, the fighting's totally different. God,
it's a business, man. It's a business, man. That's what. And they know that if you go out there all humble and just like, hey man, I'm gonna go out there and do my best, and may the best man win. That doesn't sell. But if they go out there, I'm gonna freaking kill you. I'm gonna rip your spine out and beat you to death.
You gotta have the drama. You need to have
that right there. Sell tickets, man. That's how they make their money. So they become kind of like stage performers. Then they go out there and then they got to back up what they said, right? So we all know that in the end, there's always a lot more said than done. And so if you watch these fights, the people that run their mouth the most, usually, that it doesn't go their way.
Like they can't do anything sometimes. It's embarrassing to watch. Sometimes you're embarrassed for the other person. You're like, he talked so much smack like he was on the same level, but he was like, he can't do anything. The guy's toying with him, Kind of like Floyd Mayweather was with Conor McGregor in that boxing match.
I don't know, man. See, that's where I disagree. Like, I think that McGregor's like a freaking stud for that, right? He actually talked a bunch of smack and stood toe-to-toe with the world's probably pound-for-pound best boxer on the planet and went freaking 12 rounds. 12 rounds.
Floyd's never been. It was 9. Because I had a bet on it.
Hold on a second.
He knocked him out.
No, he didn't.
Yeah, he went down.
No, he didn't.
He just fell.
No,
he didn't.
He was against the ropes, and the refs was just like,
he called the fight. Yeah, he called the fight. But I think it was in the 9th round because I had a bet that Mayweather was not going to knock out McGregor, and I lost it. I didn't think he was going to. But it just became very obvious to me that the first half of that fight, that Mayweather was really just he was putting on a show. McGregor. Look, I'm not going to fight McGregor. I wouldn't fight him.
It was the 10th round. It was the 10th round.
I wouldn't fight him. I wouldn't fight McGregor, not a chance. You know what I'm saying? But,
you kidding me? They give you $4 million. You're going to go out there and you're going to fight.
Yeah, I would, for sure. Yeah. I don't know if I would take a Mike Tyson punch to the face back in the day. That's one that I would really have to be like, I don't even think I'd get in the ring with that guy. Conor McGregor, dude, I'd get in the ring with him. I'm bigger than him. You know what I mean? He put me down pretty quick. But I'm not going to fight him on the street over something that matters. Let me say it like that. So I'm not trying to demean his ability or whatever, but I just think he got in there and he was with a guy that is the master of defense, and I think he was letting him hit him, Mayweather's he's on another level, man. I hate him. He's a domestic abuser. I can't stand that. And I certainly wish he would have lost several times. I always cheered against him and he always won. It always pissed me off. But it was one of those things like when I watched Michael Jordan play growing up, I hated Michael Jordan because I was a big Lakers fan. I would watch him and be like, man, I hate this guy. I hope he loses every time. But then after he's done, you look back and you're like, God, there was nobody better than him, and you don't appreciate it while you're watching it.
Mike Tyson, best boxer of all time. I don't care what anybody says.
Agreed.
Mike Tyson. the best ever. That's the guy that was just terrifying at 18, 19 years old. He would just go out there and just destroy. Everybody was terrified of him. That guy was incredible. He still is too. I don't know if you saw that where he knocks the top off the bottle. So
Oh, did he? I didn't know he did that. I know the challenge.
Yeah.
It's big on TikTok.
Unboxing.
You guys join me on TikTok, BitBoy Crypto. I have 2 crypto TikToks on there. It's very interesting. Mike Tyson. I mean, we're not even talking about crypto now, but Mike Tyson's in crypto though. I don't know if people know that. He's got some kind of coin or something. But anyways, they say Deontay Wilder may have a harder punch than him. But for my money, there's nobody that will ever in my lifetime or before my lifetime or after my lifetime be as dominant as he was for those few years. He was just so he wanted to kill you when you were in the ring with him, and I love that about him. If I were a boxer, that's how I'd be. I want to kill you.
He got so frustrated, he just started biting ears off. He didn't even care.
That was down the road. That was later. That was so sad when that happened. Like, even as a kid, I remember being like, I was probably 13 or 14 when that fight happened. I was like,
but what I'm getting at, that is how much of an animal that guy is. I mean, that guy is a freaking animal, right?
But
so
that's all he had left. He couldn't even outbox Evander Holyfield anymore. Like, he had to.
That wasn't boxing though, man. If you watch the fight, Evander was playing dirty. He kept headbutting. And so, like, prison or just animal instinct in him, he just freaking went nuts and just went twice. That dude is a monster.
Yeah.
So, and he still, if you watch him throw punches, like he hangs out with Uriah and the guys, man, he is still a freaking machine, even like 50-something years old. Yeah, you would not want to fight that guy.
He says he doesn't work out, I think. Like, he says he doesn't go to the gym because he says he hates, like, when he goes into the gym and starts working out, like, he only has one mode. You know what I mean? So he goes in and it just reminds him of who he used to be, and he can't be that person anymore. And so he says he can't even, like, I think he said he can't work out. I mean, maybe he does push-ups or something, but sure, he had all those pigeons. I remember that. Mike Tyson Punch Out is my favorite video game of all time. Love that game.
Yeah. I used to love that as a kid, man. We used to play that quite a bit. Yeah. So, still remember the code? Remember the code?
I don't remember the code, but I do remember I was so disappointed when it switched over to Mr. Dream because I wanted to beat Mike Tyson. I didn't beat him until I was older. I was probably in kindergarten back then. That game was so hard. The first 8 levels are really fun. They have really high replay value. Like, I could play them every single day and not get tired of them. But once those guys start getting real hard, like Soda Popinski and Macho Man, and then Mike Tyson, it's like, it takes everything you can to beat those guys.
Good old Glass Joe. Yeah.
Von Kaiser. Piston Honda. Those are the 3 right there. King Hippo was the best though, and Bald Bull. Those were the best.
The good old days.
Well, let's
I gotta ask. I got to talk to Josh Hunter, man. So Josh said, that once the tax laws come in, things will be better, right? They'll help for goods and services. But did you guys see that draconian stuff that they were talking about, where they were talking the IRS is basically in that it was some kind of pitch deck that they put together on how they're going to make sure that people are compliant and not evading taxes, to where they would go and basically interview your neighbors, your friends, your family.
Yeah, use your social
look at your PayPal, your social media, just to see if you're evading taxes, paying them in crypto, or not paying taxes on your crypto, right? So I thought that was pretty draconian and pretty scary. It's like, I thought we were going to have, it was 180 something page report and then a pitch deck, and none of it looked, all that great for us so far. So hopefully they're gonna drop some very clear guidelines for people that are using crypto, so that way they know what's up and they're not worried about the freaking the Germans, the Nazis or something showing up at their door, right?
Well, I mean, they're going to use this as an excuse to do it no matter what, and that's the thing. So even if you're apparently done everything by the books, they're going to use this as an excuse to then be able to scrape all this data on you anyways, and and say, oh well, it's because we had to do this because this person had anything to do with crypto. So even if you were doing it right, I think that you're going to be vulnerable for something like that if they actually do choose to literally profile people.
They can find something you did wrong if they want to.
Yeah, they're going to follow your social media. So anytime you ever posted an Ethereum address anywhere, something that they could scrape, in all these situations, I think that's a pretty shady approach to things. And so it could be it would be a blanket kind of, I think, violation of your privacy and rights, really.
Yeah. Yeah, everybody's asking, when does alt season start, right? So I usually think that it starts when the dominance where Bitcoin's, about 50% or something like that, but under, 50% dominance. That's when you see it, pump up. But rising tides raises all ships, right? So when the money starts coming in, I think you're going to see, alts recover a little bit, but not all of them. I think people are a little bit more savvy than they used to be as far as the people that would be buying these cryptos. So I don't think that all the alts that we've seen in the past with their all-time highs, I don't think we're going to see that again across the board. I think you're going to see it with a lot of them, but not all of them like last time. What do you guys think?
Well, I don't think we're going to see one Satoshi project that you've never heard of pump up to 500 Satoshis in a matter of weeks. I don't think we're going to see that again. A lot of the reason why that was because, Bittrex and Binance, they closed their doors to new customers. And so people were having to use these smaller exchanges, and people don't realize that. That is how a lot of these crappier projects ended up getting pumped up, because people, the new investor, they jump on, they don't know what they're doing. They just try to find something cheap that may have a lot of potential, like something cheap with a cool name. It's like my wife picking the NCAA bracket based on the jersey colors. You know what I mean? It's the same thing.
I like the coin design.
Yeah. I like the logo. It's cool. I think that definitely we're not going to see that. CZ had some really interesting comments. I put on my channel yesterday about alt season, and basically he said the same thing you're saying, is that they will pump. But a lot of why we're not seeing the altcoin pumps right now is because a lot of that money is going into IEOs. People are really speculative about those IEOs and real excited. They get pumped up, especially the ones Matic, Seller, One, BitTorrent, all the ones that have been on Binance. And so that's where a lot of those, that new investment money that people have sitting on the side were going. So I don't know if that's true or not. I think that really the last couple of weeks, the last 3 weeks, ever since Bitcoin 2019 conference, maybe it was 2 weeks ago, we went on that epic pump, right? We went all the way to 14,000. And I think that was the moment where everybody who's heavily into altcoins, like I am, like most, a lot of crypto influencers are. I mean, if you call me that, whatever you want to call me. I like altcoins. I talk about altcoins a lot on my channel. I think that was when everybody kind of was like, wait, we just got back to 14,000 and we're still like only 8 to 20% of our all-time high, while Bitcoin's up at like 65% of its all-time high. So I think right now, a lot of these conversations are going on with people, wanting to get out of their altcoins and moving over to Bitcoin. And to me, that's the most bullish sign for an altcoin season that I can see, because what does your boy Warren Buffett say? I don't know if he's your boy or not, but he says when there's blood on the street, buy. And when everybody is buying, that's when you sell, and that's what we're seeing with altcoins right now. Like there's some really good opportunities, in my opinion, not financial advice, of course, in my opinion, for some altcoins that are going to do very well during this next run. I like to stick to top 50 to 60 in general. So IOST is right on that edge. Which we all have notes on, by the way. But
IOST in the house.
I think the top 50 projects are still going to do pretty good in general. Top 60, top 100. I think outside of that is when it's going to get a little dicier. But I have to believe that it's coming soon, just due to the fact that everybody is starting to give up on it completely. Isn't that what we saw in November with Bitcoin? Everybody gave up. All these people that were these big accounts, YouTubers, Twitter guys, they disappeared in November.
At the lull in the cycle, it's that cycle of investment. So
but talking about Warren Buffett, my favorite quotes from him were always rule number 1, never lose money. Rule number 2, never forget rule number 1. And then always stay rational. And price is what you pay, value is what you get. And so with altcoins, a lot of people know there's not a lot of value in them. They're just freaking white papers, ideas, garbage, junk. So I think people have gotten a little bit smarter. And so I don't think we're going to see the same type of rise that we had in 2017, like I said earlier. So, but I definitely think that a lot of the altcoins that people have just kind of given up on, that are out there with their head down, dropping tech, getting ready to do some really cool things, you're going to see those things really take off in price. And for people that are holding onto those bags, they're going to be pretty freaking happy.
What did you guys? Go ahead.
Oh, talking about Komodo. Let's see here. I saw, who was it? So Jorge says Komodo Moon. So does Komodo, those are some of the smartest programmers on the planet. I mean, those guys
just
are
lizards.
Incredible, but they're not very good at marketing. And do they even have their own freaking wallet? Do they have a wallet that supports them other than exchanges?
Yeah, they have a wallet.
China likes them.
Do they?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Okay. I haven't seen it. So I was looking. Yeah. So I was looking, I do own Komodo, and I was like, do they even have wallet support?
You know that
I got to do it. I have to do it on Linux. What do I got to do here? Is it like Grin? So.
I think you're right. I mean, I think there are quite a few products out there that have a working product. They're not just a white paper, and I think we're starting to see more of that. And the other thing I've noticed too lately, is that I've seen a lot more like coins that I had never heard of come out of nowhere and enter in like the top 50 or 60 coins on CoinMarketCap. So I was looking the other day and like some of these, I was like, man, I've never heard of this coin, and they just kind of come out of nowhere. And so, like you said, I think some of them are like these IEOs, but there's a couple on here where I'm just like, I don't even know what is this.
Yeah, like Japan Content Network is one. Like, God, what's the other one that is so volatile? It's almost there every single day on the biggest winners or losers.
There's like
Maximind Coin is another one, And then some are rebrands, when
like,
Cosmo popped up, I was like,
Trade. I've never heard of Head Trade. V Systems, Egretia,
V Systems is one of the best staking coins, apparently.
I don't know EGT. I've never heard of that.
Egretia,
33.
Yeah, those have been the last couple of days. Those have been because I cover top 5 winners and losers every day on my channel, and those have been on there for like the last 2 or 3 days.
I feel like we've seen a lot more of that too. So that in addition to just kind of like the major IEOs, I think we've seen a lot of people starting to invest back again in some of these companies. Like
the wallets are healing. They're healing from the.
Who knows?
I don't know, but over on Stache's channel, IBLB562, that is so funny. He says, buy blood, not fecal matter. So I saw that he was talking about Warren Buffett. Remember? He was blood in the streets. Yeah.
Okay. So this is something interesting, guys, that I wanted to bring up. Do you guys follow? I know probably Stache does. I don't know if you do Beadles. Bully on Twitter.
I don't. Who's that?
He's
I don't like bullies for the most part.
Well, he's not really. Well, he kind of is. He likes to put like real controversial stuff, on Twitter or whatever. Like, he talking about food takes and stuff like that. Says Chick-fil-A's terrible, whatever. Interestingly, one of my best tweets ever was about how I don't like In-N-Out. So people love the hot food takes. But he brought up something today on Twitter that I thought was really fascinating. He said, I don't have the exact tweet in front of me, but paraphrasing, he said, I can't get one thing out of my mind is that story in May where there was supposedly a crypto or an investor billionaire who said he wanted to buy up to 25% of the Bitcoin supply. I don't know if you guys remember that story. I reported on it. And ever since, you've seen the price of Bitcoin rise and all the altcoins are staying the same. So, the implication there, obviously, is that if that really is happening, if that guy really is trying to slowly accumulate 25% of the Bitcoin supply, that would make sense. The Bitcoin would be moving up and altcoins would not be going up at all. Because if you go back to, April, March, February, altcoins were doing okay. I mean, you had several, like Tron had a huge pump. IOST obviously had a huge pump. A lot of projects, Litecoin's done pretty well, and Binance Coin are two of the only ones that have actually done well in this market. But I don't know. Could that be what's going on? And then all of a sudden, the altcoins are going to pop off, and you don't even realize it. I have to hold on to.
A lot of people would be happy. That would make a lot of people very, very happy, right? So, because there's a lot of people with just bags and bags of crap tokens, and they're all hoping that we're all hoping it comes back,
right? I mean, come on, all 3 of us here for sure have some sort of altcoin bag that we're not proud of, that we ended up getting for some kind of random ass thing.
10 ripples in my Toast wallet.
Right, I got like 50K Moolah coin or something sent around.
Oh God! Hey, believe it or not, they never took it back. I still got it too.
Yeah,
Moolah coin.
I think that's going to be the way of things. And just like if a store that has a rewards program ends up going bankrupt, your rewards are now canceled. And so, where I think when we were talking about earlier, where we were talking about a tokenized economy, I kind of feel the same way. I feel like we're going to have this, 100% fluid. Interoperability between all these different blockchain projects where you can have all these multitude of tokens and they're just interchangeable no matter what. There's always an easy way to do it, and it's fluid across all platforms because we'll have standards. I think it's one of the things that is kind of really lacking right now in crypto is these kind of standards that make it easy to incorporate everything across the board, without having to know a bunch of different things coming from other places. So
can we flesh this out for like just 1 second? Because my friend who he owns crypto, but he's not into crypto. You know what I mean? Right. We were having this conversation when we were out in Las Vegas for the WSOP, and I'm trying to tell him about this fully tokenized economy where I can see Binance Coin, obviously, how their basic model of incentivizing, we'll see that in the future. with, like let's just say Best Buy, for instance. Okay. Let's say Best Buy, they make it as a brick and mortar store. I don't know if they will, I think a lot of those brick and mortar stores are having trouble, but okay, Best Buy comes up with their own token. They got their own blockchain. They got their own token. They're incentivizing users. Basically, these will kind of replace gift cards almost, if you kind of think of it like that. And it incentivizes people.
Miles, cash back.
Right. Incentivizes people to use that coin in the store. What is the advantage to Best Buy? Like, how is Best Buy profiting on that model? Like with gift cards.
Customer retention.
What's that?
Customer retention.
Yeah, I mean that's got to be it, right? I mean
that's it. I mean that's why
what
you
gift
do it
cards
right
are
now.
for.
You think about the airlines. Well, why do airlines do this whole mileage thing? Well, because they know if you're going to want to get some sort of discount, you can do a mileage program and then exchange it with them, and so you will then continue to get flights through them because you're getting more and more rewards, and then you can use those rewards in turn in their network, and so it keeps you in there. It's customer retention.
It's not just that, though.
Yeah,
if they control the crypto, they control the inflation and deflation of the crypto as well. Who says that it stays the same amount of tokens, or they start burning tokens, or
that just depends on how it's built. I mean, I think how it's built is if it's open source, like most cryptocurrencies projects are. I think then that's something.
I was thinking like a Best Buy token probably wouldn't be open source, right?
I mean, we don't know because look at Libra. I mean, Libra is essentially going to be, an open source software where they say that it's going to be out there.
I think we're going to see all these stores copycat. I think they're all, once this happens, which once again, we may be 5 to 10 years away from this. I don't think longer, but I don't think this is happening around the corner. But it may. I mean, it may. A lot of people didn't think Facebook was going to get into crypto, 6 months ago, and look where we're at. But I think what we'll see is we'll kind of see some of the brick and mortar stores come out with their own stuff, and if it's open source, like it's basically the same thing trying to do Ethereum. Like they'll just take it and they'll borrow most of it, they'll change a few things, but there's no reason to reinvent the wheel if you're, if all these, it's like reinventing a website. Like if you go look at websites, they're all basically unique, but they're all kind of the same. Like immediately when you go, like if you're on mobile, like if you go to any website, like oh, there's 3 lines up at the top, and you can click it, and it'll show you the menu.
Or those are standards. Yeah, the standards.
Yeah, and I do think also, like, I don't know if we'll start seeing this in America specifically until we do have, better regulation and all that stuff's locked down, because a lot of those questions that, Beadles brings up about the inflation and setting their own price and things like that, like there could be kind of some standards for that too, with having to create, just like with gift cards. I'm sure there's somebody that regulates gift cards,
right.
I don't know what it is, but there has to be something, right?
We see gift cards. Where companies start doing something one way and then they change their terms of service and they're like, oh, just kidding. Now it's not going to be private and we're going to steal your data and you're agreeing to it anyways. And it's in this long list of like 150 million pages.
Right. Yeah.
Like right at the bottom.
Beadles is looking up giftcardcommittee.com right now.
No, actually, one of the things about gift cards a lot of people don't know is people lose them, but the companies still get paid.
Yep.
And so there's like, I forget what I was going to look up the actual numbers, but there's like 15% or 30% of people that buy gift cards that just lose them. They never use them, stuff like that. And so when you were talking about gift cards, it made me think about that.
But as far as you leave $2 on it, you get a $100 gift card, you leave $2 on it. I don't even care about this.
Problem. Yeah. Same thing with these tokens, man. Guess what? You think they're just going to give you tokens? Sure, maybe it's a cashback reward, but guess what? You're going to have to spend probably dollars to buy them. So you buy 100 of these Best Buy tokens, and maybe they just sit there on your wallet and you don't use them, right? So they still got $100 from you. But anyways, I digress.
We always digress. That's all we do.
Everybody's coming into crypto. We all know it, man. Crypto's where it's at. Basically anything in the world is going to be virtual at some point. So whether it's real estate, whether it's stocks, bonds, doesn't matter. It could be freaking commodities. It could be, corn, wheat, all that kind of stuff. We're all going to see this stuff with security tokens or some type of, virtual, digital token, and it's going to be traded all over the world. It's going to be incredible. It's going to be awesome. It's coming. We all know it, man. All these big businesses are coming in. Been saying it for years, and now they're here. And the Fed, the Fed is coming to our defense. If that doesn't say it all, man, I don't know what does, right?
It's a weird world.
That you never see.
Well, yeah. I think we're going to see.
It's getting crazy fast,
We're going to see more changes in the next 10 to 15 years in how we live our lives than we've seen in the previous 10 to 15 years.
Yeah.
And people don't realize. like this is these conversations I have with people
Giggity.
about where the future is going, and they're like, that's not coming that fast, blah 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 blah. But if you think 10 years ago, people weren't even really using iPhones. Like, it was brand new. I mean, I think 11 and a half years or so. That's how long the iPhone's been out. And think about how much your life has changed since you got this thing. The way that people live life is different now, totally, because of this. The technology that's coming, is going to be even crazier. Virtual reality, AI, like that stuff is absolutely nuts, And so we're going to start seeing a lot of that, pretty soon. And money is one aspect of that. I mean, we've seen huge shifts in the way that people use money since the beginning of civilization. It was bartering, and then it was, gold or whatever was the, gem or stone or whatever the a popular culture used. It was trading something for value. And then, of course, later on, we've got paper money. And now it's time. There were credit cards, and now it's time for the new revolution. And blockchain is definitely that revolution in my mind.
It's kind of how it goes, man. You go from chickens to gold and silver, to paper to now digital.
Maybe eggs first. I don't know if it was the chicken or the egg.
Eggs, chicken, eggs, all that kind of stuff. So, yeah. We've I've got to get back to working pretty quick. We've got
this is work.
Yeah, well, actually, we're dropping the world's first decentralized recurring payment platform within the next week. So, like for instance, if you guys are charging $9 a month for some kind of group or some kind of service you guys offer, you guys will be able to hook it up right there to your website, send the link to your customer, and then from their cold wallet, from basically their Monarch wallet or any wallet, they can use MetaMask, whatever. It'll just pull your $9 a month right out of their wallet. They can turn it on, turn it off, whatever they want. You guys get paid in crypto, stable tokens, all that kind of stuff. So, world's first, man. That'll be out in the next week, and then also we launch all of our tokens to all the bounty people too. So, for people that have been asking about Monarch, so I got to get back.
I'm gonna make a meme. That's what I'm gonna do for work.
Make a meme?
All right. You're gonna create a whole new, area of cryptocurrency. Meanwhile, I'm gonna make a meme. So, it's kind of like,
Hey, we all bring value in different ways, man. We need memes too. Memes get us through the day. You're there at night. You can't quite sleep, so you're rolling through your freaking Instagram
we need
or whatever.
Make a crypto love meme for not showing up.
That's easy. 12 lady boys on top of him while he's in bed with just his feet showing.
Somebody said, what is he doing over there? I said, lady boys. Obviously, kind of kidding, I think. But anyway, yeah. So I think we'll have to probably do this sooner than a month, because we'll have to re-up with him and get him in on one of these. Sooner rather than later.
That dude is so much fun. Yeah, he's so much fun. I've never seen a guy that has so much confidence to walk up to any amount. You could have a group of 40 women, and he will just run up to them. It doesn't even matter, and just start hitting on all of them. He's like, it's a numbers game. It's a numbers game.
Boomhauer from what's the name of that show? With Hank, Over the Hill. Boomhauer's technique. Like Bobby's one day, he's like, man, I would love for you to show me how you do that, how you get all them girls. He said, okay, take it to the store. Takes him to the store, and he's like, it's just an overhead view of a department store, and it's like he's going ping, ping, ping to every single woman. Like, hey, want to go out with me? Hey there, want to go out with me? And finally, after 10 tries, somebody says yes. That's such a funny shit. But all right, guys, well let's wrap this thing up. I think
that was cool.
It was great hanging with you both. Love you guys. Love everybody there in the chat.
Yeah,
got a lot of my friends and family in there, man. So it's awesome, man. Great to hang with you guys.
We share a lot of audience, the three of us.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah,
I love that.
That's how we do it in crypto, right? There's only so many of us in it, right? So, we got a lot of the friends and family that just bounce channel to channel to stay up on stuff and just hang out with us. So
that's the community. Love it. All right, guys, we will talk to you guys later.
Yeah,
Big boy out. Do your catchphrase.
Stache that crypto, friends.
All right, love you guys. God bless.
All right.